Okay, hi Adina, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Good morning. Hello. Thank you.
I would love to start off with just telling us like a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. So my name is Adina Robinson. I'm a licensed acupuncturist and energy healer. I'm an online course creator, holistic health coach, and retreat leader. And my passion lies really with helping busy women to overcome stress and burnout and reclaim their calm and live a healthy, balanced lifestyle. And I do that through using ancient medicine and practices like Chinese medicine with modern practices like essential oils and tuning forks and whatnot. So that's who I am.
Yeah, so just a couple things.
Just a couple
Like, wow,
things.
she does so much.
Yeah, I've been doing this almost 20 years now, so I've got a
Okay.
lot of stuff in my pocket here.
And that's the perfect way to kind of get into our conversation because I one of the reasons why I wanted to speak with you, you were a wonderful student and watching you go through the program and excel in the program and just be awesome. So I
Thank
wanted to
you.
have you on for that, but I also wanted to have you on because you are someone who already had an established successful business. So can you tell us, did you all of the things that you just mentioned, like I knew you did acupuncture. Did you already have all those pieces as a business before joining IEA?
All of them except for the energy healer. IEA brought that extra piece for me. And I look back and I say that, but I've always been an energy healer. I've always used my intuition. I've always listened to that. But the IEA program really helped me to fine tune that so that I kind of knew what I was doing. I didn't realize I was doing that until this program. That's just one of the things that IEA helped me with. So
That's really interesting. Did you feel like that's why you joined IEA? Was like, did you know that that piece was like kind of missing and you wanted to explore it? Or what was the thing that piqued your interest into the IEA program?
So I honestly had no idea what I was getting into. I had listened to Emily's podcast and I just had this immediate connection. Like there was just something like I was like, I want to work with this woman. Like this just it's hitting me right. Um, so to answer your question, that's not why I joined. I went in honestly blindly. I was looking, I've been in business 20 years. I have three kids. One just graduated college, one graduated high school, and another graduates in a few years. And my husband and I like to travel. I want to retire. And, the IEA program offered me a blueprint of how to get into a position where I can take my brick and mortar business and put it online and do more than what I was doing. I was missing that piece of I have all these things under my belt, but I can only work in my office, or I only knew how to work. I didn't know how to think outside of that box of brick and mortar. So that's kind of what drew me in, is this idea of like, oh yeah, like I can do this, but I can do it on a bigger platform than just seeing patients one on one in an office. Which, don't get me wrong, I love that. It's wonderful and fulfilling, but for my future, I really wanted to think about that.
Yeah, and of course, being able to connect with even more people, all around the world too, instead of just
Absolutely.
one-on-one in person or 10 people in person.
Yes.
Uh, so it kind of sounds like the business side of the program was calling you a little bit more than the
Yes.
energy work, because like you
Yes.
said, you've already were doing a lot of these things intuitively and then already had an established acupuncture practice. How did you feel about having to go back to like the beginning and learning something as if you were new to it?
Well, I love that because I think there's always space for learning more. Like I might have this foundation, but working with everybody, the coaches, with Emily, with my peers, you learn so much. So I didn't really see it as going back. I just kind of, it was not, I didn't even really see it as a refresher. It was just kind of like, this is just adding, like I might know about the chakra systems, but I learned more from Emily from the chakra systems, and I learned more going through the process. So I feel like there's always room for growth.
Yeah, I love that perspective. I see it a lot in my kickboxing training, being a black belt, and we have people that come in from karate side and they're a black belt, and then they're starting from
Mhm.
white belts. And
Yeah.
that could be a very humbling thing and hard for some people, but it's to look at it from the perspective of like, well, I am a master, but I'm always learning something
Yeah.
new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's always room for growth. I think that's, I mean, we're given these amazing brains that we don't use every bit of. So why not keep adding?
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. Um, when you heard about IEA, was there any blocks you had? Were you nervous about anything? Were you fearful about anything? Was there like one thing that when that made you hesitate in terms of like joining? Like what was your biggest hesitation or block heading into IEA?
It was definitely a money block. It was definitely like, okay, I'm going to invest a lot of money. And, like I said, I kind of went blindly into it. I didn't really know exactly what I was getting into. I wasn't a part of MA and all that. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm trusting in this. I'm trusting in it. So it was that money block, was definitely there. That was the biggest one. Um, I've made investments a lot, I have to keep my licensing up, both for the state of California, and then I'm also nationally licensed for acupuncture. So I have two boards that I have to do continuing education and whatnot. And I've done a lot of certification courses. I've done a lot of education, and I've invested a lot of money into that. And so going into this, I wanted to make sure that it was an investment that was going to bring a return. So for me, that biggest block was the fact that, okay, I'm putting the money in and I'm trusting and I don't really know what I'm getting myself into. Like, and there was, that intuition just kept telling me, spirit was like, this is where you're supposed to be. I mean, I have the chills right now. This is where you're supposed to be. This is where you're supposed to be. So, so yes, there was a money block for me, definitely.
Did you feel like that worked itself out in the program? Like, how did you get past that block to one, like go ahead and fully trust yourself and join? And then when you were in the program, was there something that kind of helped you ease that out, feel better about that?
Well, knowing that the program was laid out so that we were to make money, we were to charge for our sessions. So knowing that that was coming no matter what, really gave me the confidence to know, okay, well, if I do this many sessions, then I can make this money back. So that was really, that guarantee that that money was going to come back, and it did. So
So that helped you kind of ease your nerves a little bit about that.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's two things that are coming up for me while you talked about that. The first one being requirements to charge for sessions.
Uh-huh.
Um, I assume, and maybe I'm just tell me if I'm wrong, but since you are already like established business practitioner, did you find the transition from free sessions to paid sessions hard, easy? Were you fearful of that? Were you scared of that? Like what came up for you in that transition process?
That was very normal for me. I did not have any problem with that at all. I charge for what I do, and I've raised my prices throughout the years to kind of match, the inflation and whatnot. So I didn't have a hard time with that at all. That just felt completely normal to me. And I think it was Emily who had said something, like money is an energy exchange, and the way that she explained it, makes absolute sense to me. And I think that's how I have thought all along running my business. Um, so it just felt very natural to me to do that. It didn't feel uncomfortable. But again, I was in the unique situation where I had, almost 2 decades of being in business and doing this on my own. So it felt very natural to me to do that. I wasn't scared of it. I was actually excited for it. So I was
I
really
love
excited
that.
to get from the 10 minutes to the 60-minute sessions, because, it just, I mean, I know I'm not the only one in this, but like that 10-minute time was so short. I was like, oh, I can't wait to like keep doing this,
Yeah, that 10 minutes really forces you to like hone in, cut out any fluff. Like we've got 10
Yes,
minutes.
yes.
So much. Okay, I'm trying to keep these conversations to like 15 minutes, but I'm just
Okay.
like, wow, so much. Like there's so much. I'm so interested in like in me stepping into the role as project manager. I really want to
Okay.
connect with like past students so I can better serve like our new students.
Yeah.
And I've already talked with a graduate who was like very new
Uh-huh.
to energy work in general, didn't even think they were going to have a business. So it's super interesting to see like the difference in the feelings about charging people and
Yeah.
getting clients. I'm curious to know for you getting clients, since you already had obviously established clients,
Mhm.
did you pull from them? Like, did you tell them what you were doing? And if they were interested, did you lean on family and friends for support? In what way did you, get clients for these practice sessions?
Both. I pulled from my patient list. I have, I had, I want to say like over 500 people on my mailing list. So, but I was very specific of who that um, I felt that I could reach out to with this, because, it's not for everybody. And you were kind of talking about blocks, and I'm sorry, I'm going to kind of veer off a little bit, but that was definitely a block for me, was like really opening up and being like, this is what I do. So I did pull from my client list, but I also pulled from friends and family too. So it was a combination of both, basically. But mainly my energy healing clients are former clients and referrals from them. So
That's amazing.
yeah,
And I love that you said like you really thought about and you were intentional with the people that you put it out to.
yeah.
Um, did you have trouble filling these sessions? Did it come quicker than you thought?
It varied by month, and I think the hardest sessions to fill were the last month of December, and I think it was just the timing.
Yeah.
Because they kept coming after. So, but it was like, I know in my own business, December can be either this great month or it could be kind of a flop. So I I was kind of prepared for that a little bit, to know that it was going to be a little bit harder. So I just pushed a little harder in December, but that would have been the hardest month. And I think, like I said, I don't think it was anything other than the fact of the timing of it.
Yeah. And it's kind of nice to have a challenge for yourself at the end of the program. Like,
Yeah.
let's really put these tools to
Yeah.
use and
Yeah.
see.
I mean, it was a little nerve-wracking, because I'm a go-getter, and I'm like, I want to do my best. And and like, I'm like, I gotta get these done. I gotta get these done. So yeah,
Yeah.
I tend to stress myself out over those things, and I have to take a step back, because stress is my specialty. So, I need to, I need to practice what I preach. So
Yeah, and the good thing is too, I mean, in the program, you have the student clinic, so you can also
yes.
get some energy healing work too
Yes.
from fellow practitioners.
Uh-huh. And I
When
still
you're,
do. I still
do
have a
you?
connection.
Oh, I love
Yes.
that.
Yeah. I loved that sisterhood that we formed in those sessions, and that trust, because we're all new to this and we're all going into it. And I definitely formed long lasting relationships, and I love that.
Yeah, I love that too. And watching your cohort go through, it was like the energy within you guys. I mean, it was amazing. The amount of support that was in that group and just
Yeah.
like
Yep.
encouragement, the support, the hey, even like help with tech.
Yep.
What
Yep.
programs are you like? I was like,
Mhm.
wow, like I mean, I love that. Your cohort was, I mean, all of them are great, but I just love seeing how much you all connected. It was
Yeah.
really heartwarming.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that everything else aside, just the fact of having that group of women, and we connected so well, that was worth it just for that,
Yeah. Oh, I think female relationships are so important, especially as we get older.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm right there with you. So we talked a little bit about the money commitment to it
Mhm.
aspect to IEA and making that investment. There's also the commitment of the time, the 6 month time.
Mhm.
And I'm curious if that felt like a long time to you. Did you feel like you would have the space for that since you already had, a business, you were working at a brick and mortar. I'm assuming you had like your office hours that you were working. So how did you feel about committing to a 6 month time frame, and how did you work that into your schedule?
Well, it kind of worked out perfectly. And I hate to be like, oh, it was so perfect, it was so perfect, but it really was so great. I've never work on Fridays. I've always had Fridays off, and everything was on Fridays. So it was meant to be. It worked out perfectly. So for my schedule, it worked out great. I did my sessions mostly on Fridays. Sometimes I'd mix them up in the week, if I had like a slow week or whatever, but it just kind of fell into place. I already had that day available. And when I found out all about the meetings and the group coaching and all that was going to be on Fridays, I was like, well, here we go. Like this is perfect again. So just,
Yeah.
check the box of I'm meant to be here.
Yeah, it all just really aligned perfectly. I love that. Um,
Yeah.
I'm curious to know a little bit about how you blended the
Mhm.
IEA like modality with all of the things that you offer. Do you did you have to like keep it separate? Did you incorporate it together? How did that end up working out for you?
So I incorporated it together. So, again, my training is in traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture. So that's the life that I live. It's just everything that I do in my life, it has that foundation. So it was very easy to blend that in with what I was learning in IEA. So, when I'm going through the body and I'm scanning the body, I'm not just seeing auric fields and chakras. I'm also seeing the meridian systems, and I'm seeing the organs connected to that, and it just kind of fit right in perfectly. And then I think I said earlier, I work a lot with essential oils on acupuncture points. It's called aroma acupoint therapy. And so the essential oils for me were just coming in because I have this special relationship with these oils. I've been working with them since I was in, excuse me, in grad school. And that the oils would come through in these sessions of like, oh, this person needs this oil on this point, or they need to smell this oil, or whatever it was. So it just kind of like fell into place. And I love that about this is that it was, the integrated part. It's like I didn't have to separate the two. I was able to take that same thing. I used works and sound bowls. So that just kind of fell into the whole thing as well. And it worked for me. It works for me.
Yeah, even just hearing and picturing it, I'm like, oh, that
Hmm.
all goes together, like complements each other absolutely perfectly. Um, I know that it's been a little bit since you went through the course. I'm wondering if you can put yourself back a little bit,
Hmm.
and if you can remember like the business side of the course, what
Hmm.
was the part that lit you up, that jumped out to you, or that like really helped you as being a business owner already established for, you said what, 20 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like what I would love to know like what part of the course really helped you with your business.
I think like almost all of the business aspect of the course helped. It gave me, I always say, a blueprint for a path that I needed to take in order to accomplish my goals. So, learning how to, put out an offer for people, and the steps to do that. I can't tell you how many business courses I've taken, and like this was the finally the one that just meshed. So I think it all really helped. It was all very valuable to me. And I still go back to this day, and I go back to certain lessons, and I'm looking at things, and I mostly go back now for the healing aspects of it. Just going back and refreshing things when I feel like I need to refresh. But I can't pinpoint one thing specifically because I feel like it really all helped me. Um, I'm still in the process of doing what I've learned in that course. I've kind of taken a step back after the course ended, and I've taken all that information, and I'm still in process of using that and building this practice. So it was all very valuable. It really was. And I love that mixture of the energy healing with the business part, because I mean, I went to grad school and I think I had one business class, and then graduated grad school, and I jumped in feet first. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't know how to run a business. I never ran a business before. I had worked for other people who ran businesses, but I didn't know. And so I think for a new student, that's really helpful, especially for a student who has no idea. All the pieces are there. You just have to follow them.
Yeah, so just a note for anyone only listening to the audio about this, Adina did put air quotations around business courses. Um, just wanted to note that.
Yes.
And then also, yeah, a huge bonus is that you get access forever. So you can always
Mhm.
go back and refresh on these. Did you feel like those business resources and tools helped you in your brick and mortar, or
Mhm.
was it just for online?
Definitely helped me in my brick and mortar. Like I said, I use that information to this day. So yes, absolutely.
That's good to hear. We always like to hear that it's still helping.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
if you could tell us maybe, I want to say like your biggest takeaway um, from the course. I know like the sisterhood was,
Mhm.
really hit you, and like being able to process that stress. Is there anything else that you feel like you really took from this course and still use to this day?
Oh, but there's so much. You know, there's things that I do every single day, like clearing my space. I go into my office every morning, and the very first thing that I do is I clear that space. I call in my guides for help for that day. And I think that's one of the biggest things. I know it seems little, but it's huge. And
Yeah.
especially in a practice where I'm working with people's energy all day long. And I've noticed a difference 100% when I started clearing this space, and and trusting in my guides, trusting in my intuition, trusting in the messages that I was receiving. It was a game changer for me, both in my brick and mortar and doing my online healing. So that for me, I do it even in my home now. It's like, so I think that's my biggest takeaway, besides trusting my intuition and listening to that very first thing that comes in and not letting ego take over. That's huge too. And like I said, it's made a difference. I feel like specifically with my acupuncture patients too, of being able to tune in like that. um it's just like it's this whole new level. I don't know, I don't have the words for it, but it takes your practice to a whole new level, and it's a higher level, it's a higher vibration. And it it's good, it's really good.
I don't think any of that is small. And it's
Yeah.
so important to like clear your space, especially between clients too, is you don't want
Yes,
the other energy affecting your
exactly.
next session. And
Exactly.
oftentimes, as practitioners or either empaths, we take on other
Mhm.
people's energies, emotions. And so, it's so important I do that after calls all the time.
Yep.
I'll have to do it, especially after your call, Adina. I'm just kidding.
I have some sage for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but I
Um,
I hear what you're saying, because for years I would come home, and I would be like, oh my gosh, my shoulder's hurting, my shoulder, and I don't have an injury, and my husband would be like, well, how many shoulder patients did you see? And I'd be like, oh yeah, there we go. So I would take on that, and I learned to go and ground and kind of clear energy that way, but it wasn't as effective as what I learned in IEA. It just, I don't come home with headaches or shoulder pain or knee pain or whatever I've been treating that day, like where I used to, like, I can't even tell you the last time that's happened. So,
Yeah, we're you know, obviously learning the modality and to be of service to other people, but it really forces yourself to be aware of your own energy and your own body.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
I have also been learning that through this program, so
Yeah.
like I'm constantly doing that. I'd love to end with a question of, do you have any advice for people who are interested in the program, uh, or who are thinking about it, or who have joined? Just like, what would your advice be to future students of IEA?
Well, my biggest advice would be to listen to that first thought, listen to what is coming in. If I didn't listen and trust that "Hey, I'm just going to do this, then I would have talked myself out of this. I would have said, oh, it's too much money, or, oh, it's this much, or can I afford this, or whatever. How many patients do I need to see in order to afford this? Like I would have got into this spiral in my head. And I definitely think just trust that thought. If you have any, even the slightest bit of interest in joining the program, I say go for it. Do what it takes. It's going to work itself out. I mean, it again, I have the chills. It's like I'm hearing, do what it takes, whatever it takes, get yourself in it. So that would be my biggest advice. And then for students that are in the program, keep up with it. Enjoy it, because it's like nothing that I've ever done before. And like I said, I've done a lot of different certifications and whatnot. And I would say if it feels tough or you get nervous or you're worried about, the filling these sessions, it's all going to work out. It just does. You are where you're meant to be.
Yeah, I a couple of things came up as like, when you're making an important decision like this, it's okay to go through that a little bit. It's okay to question yourself. It's okay to be thoughtful with where you're putting your money. But I love the advice of like, you had an interest for a reason and you should
Mhm.
trust that, because I think we're
Mhm.
so programmed to think like, I shouldn't do this for myself. I shouldn't like spend this money on
Yes.
myself. Like I have
Yes.
to be frugal. I have to do this. And like I said, it's always fine to question and be intentional, but to go back to why you were drawn to the program, is great advice.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, it really is. You're right. It's about trusting your intuition and
Mhm.
following where that goes, and you're getting that for a reason.
Yeah, you found this program for a reason.
Yeah.
It was presented to you in whatever way for a reason. So, yeah, I mean, I tell people all the time, it's like the best thing that ever happened to me, truly.
No, I love that. You honestly, I loved having you in the program and
Thank you.
watching you go through it. It was really an honor for me to watch, and I'm so thankful for you sharing your story with everybody.
Thank
Um,
you.
I really appreciate you joining me today. Like I said, I try to keep it to 15 minutes, but I just can't when I'm talking to all these amazing people. So
Well, thank you so much for having me, and it was such an honor to be here. I really appreciate it.
I would love to talk to you anytime. So
That's-
maybe we'll hear more from Adina soon.
Yay, thank you.
Anytime.